Welcome to There's Business Value in Training Your Users, the top 10 things you can do. This is the roadmap that I want to follow. Look, I'm going to respect all of you as sophisticated adult learners and respect the fact that you may have other priorities. I will say this, if for some reason, for whatever reason, you need to leave the presentation early, please get us your email. You'll see my email throughout the presentation. Get a business card. I'll be happy by the end of the day to send you the presentation if you want. I understand that happens. So don't feel that you have to sit here and listen to me. But I will say that I hope you stick around because at the end we're going to have the Q&A. I'll give you guys a chance to ask some questions. We'll have a drawing. If you haven't already done that, please see Bill at the back of the room. Get a business card in there and we'll have a drawing. So we'll start from there. Okay. Just a little bit about us. We've been around for a while, High Street IT Solutions. We've been around for a while. Before that, we were known as Enterprise Solutions Group. If you've heard either one of those names, since 1997, we do primarily PeopleSoft and eBusiness Suite. One of our unique specialties is the Financial Accounting Hub, but we do a lot within that. Just my background in that. I spent 18 years at Oracle. If you've been on Stephen Chan's blog, and you ever looked at the HEG Live webcast series, I delivered that entire webcast series for Oracle. It actually ended when I ended, so that was a little sad. I was hoping it was going to continue on. But it was a very successful web series. I've been involved with eBusiness Suite since it was called Oracle Apps in Release 8. So I've been in this space for a while. So enterprise software training, whatever the case may be. I've actually worked on all but dissertation on my PhD. So that's my profession. It gives you a little bit about us. We do a lot of different things with Oracle. Let's tell you a story. Let's start out with a story. There was an American shoe company, and they sent two salespeople over to a developing country, and they said, I want you to go over there and I want you to evaluate the market for our shoes. The two salespeople came back. First one went into the boss and said, nobody over there wears shoes. There's no market whatsoever. Second salesperson came in and said, nobody over there wears shoes. Can you imagine the potential? Okay? So it's all about the way that you think through a problem, the way that you frame a problem. If you see enterprise solutions training as a problem for which there is no solution, that's going to be how you approach it. So I'm going to encourage you throughout this presentation to reframe the way that you look at this problem because we all have the same problems. I will also tell you, for those of you that are trainers in the room, if you stick around to the very end, maybe even after the post Q&A, I will share with you trainer insight. I will also warn you that there are some things you cannot unsee. Okay, I'll just leave it at that, and we'll say if you want to stick around, stick around. Okay. So let's start with setting your expectations. Look, I'm not up here to talk specifically, to ramble on. What I'm going to say is there's no possible way in 45 minutes with a Q&A that I can possibly present every single thing that you need to know. Okay? What I want to encourage you, though, is to delve into that rabbit hole. There's going to be a lot of parts throughout this presentation where I'm going to highlight things where I think if that suits your needs, that you can find yourself drilling into more detail than maybe you've considered. I don't know what that is. I suspect if I did an audience analysis that it would be different for everyone in this room. Where you would come about on that would be different. So we'll leave it at that. Feel free. Okay? So let's start with the settings. Okay? Training's an investment. And more importantly, every dollar that's invested in training is a dollar taken from somewhere else in the organization. It could be R&D, it could be sales, it could be operations, inventory, salaries. Okay? So, wow, what do I have to think about? What do I have to think about that in terms of that? That's just really being brutally honest. And you have to think about the way that it's going to return the investment to the organization. Now, I will say that there are quantitative and qualitative measures that you should consider when you're looking at the dollars that you want to invest. I think probably most of you have heard of ROI in relation to evaluating training programs. That's a quantitative measure, but it's probably not the only one. Okay. So let's talk about those as they come about. Okay. This is a classic quote, right? And this is what we do in training a lot of times. Okay. We continue to do the same thing over and over again. Okay. And you have a choice at this point. You can continue to do the same things over and over again and then wonder why they don't work, and then say, well, that's a challenge. So I'm going to say, let's think about it differently. So if you look at this and say, we were just brutally honest just a moment ago, and we said that every dollar spent in training is a dollar taken from somewhere else. Well, what does that mean to the value that you're producing to the organization, and how should I do that? And you could say, well, I'm producing a tremendous ROI on one hand, and on the other hand, I'm producing no value at all to the organization. The truth maybe lies somewhere in between, but where does it lie on that spectrum in between? Okay. Now, there's another reason why this quote is up here. Everyone's heard this quote, right? Okay. How many people have heard this quote attributed to Albert Einstein? Okay. Yeah. Benjamin Disraeli. Okay. Anyone on that one? Yeah. Actually, Albert Einstein actually associated it with Benjamin Disraeli, and then he associated it with Ben Franklin. Okay. The truth of this quote is, as far as anyone's actually ever done the research on it, they can't find out who did it. It's actually unattributed. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to really start you to think about. I'm going to break some myths today that you have about training. Okay? All right? Projects fail. They fail all the time. Small projects, large projects, enterprise software projects. Okay? What's interesting is we like to think that they fail because of things like, well, I didn't hire a good implementer, I picked the wrong software, I did sort of things. Well, here's a number of stats on here. Most of these were collected by Oracle for Oracle partners, so this is coming from them. And you look, effective end-user adoption is 70% of the factor for realizing value. End-user adoption is a third for the greatest concern application. Look, training is that component around which end-user adoption absolutely circulates. But what's absolutely crazy is, oftentimes when we set up projects, whether you're using an implementation company or not, what's the first thing that gets cut? Okay? And yet, it's the thing that most drives the success of the project. And what's really crazy is, even on lavish projects, okay, training in change management might be 25% of a project. That's lavish. If you had that much money, you'd be giggling. Okay, trust me, giggling like a girl is something for me. Okay, but yet what we really find is most are around the 10% mark. It's not a lot of money, but it can make the difference between the success and failure of your project. So we said, well, why does alignment matter? Well, it starts with time. Of course, you never have enough time, right? You never have enough money to do this, okay? Or you never have enough quality. It's probably one of those three in there, right? You're mixing that, okay? But all those are critically important. In fact, what I want to talk about, the business reality. In 2015, High Street actually commissioned a major study. It was done out of Harvard, and I'm sorry, this is the wrong slide. That's the right slide, okay? All right? The reality is, the truth of this is, you're never going to have enough time, money, and quality to do exactly what you need. All right? You're going to have to push it together. And by the way, it's not a selective process. It's not going to a restaurant and saying, I want one of A and one of B. Okay? It's actually making a decision that there has to be a balance between all of these. You have to account for all of these. Okay? Another one, there are three kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's popularized by Mark Twain. And my favorite